Greetings, everyone. This is Josh, and this tonight we're having episode 3 of the Horror Hangout. And my guest tonight is Damon, who is the pretty much who started the social media platform Slasher. How are you doing this evening, Damon?
Yeah, good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Um, so, why don't you, for the audience, why don't you explain what Slasher is?
Sure. So, Slasher is an online community social platform for horror fans. It's been built specifically for the genre. So, we don't have any a lot of the mainstream nonsense and noise that's out there. We don't have any people hating on horror or anything like that. So we've got all the good stuff and try to get rid of all the stuff that's not. Um, we've got some other cool stuff too. Like we have our own horror movie database, a books database, an events calendar. We've got news and reviews from big horror websites like Rue Morgue and stuff like that. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff for horror fans.
Excellent. So how long has Slasher been up? Because I just found out about it last summer, but I know it's been around a lot longer than that.
Yeah. It launched May of 2019. Yeah, it's been a little bit now.
So what made you want to start Slasher in the first place?
Originally, it was because I was trying to find out about more of the conventions in the area, and you know, I would sometimes find out about them too late, and I had a bunch of friends who were vendors and stuff like that who were also looking to go to the conventions, but they would also find out about them too late. So it was difficult because you kind of had to rely on the people who were promoting them to really get to everybody, and then for word to spread to the people that they didn't directly get to. So it was really difficult. Um, so originally what I did was I just put together a shared calendar of all the different horror conventions in the U.S. and Canada, as well as some other stuff like some tattoo conventions, some comic cons, and things like that. Things that kind of relevant to horror fans. Um, so I did all that stuff, and then I really just started seeing more and more things that could be improved upon. And I just, you know what, I need to do something different. So I
Yeah,
put
except
things
but I
together
mean,
and
certain other places like Facebook has several different like horror groups and whatnot. But
yeah,
I've noticed since joining Slasher, it just seems easier. The people are just more welcoming, and it's just much easier to develop personal relationships with everyone for
yeah.
whatever reason that might be. Maybe it's because people are specifically there just to correspond with one another.
I mean, everyone's there for the same basic reason, right? We're all horror fans.
Right.
Um, so we're kind of we understand why we're there, what we're there for. We kind of get each other at a at a real basic level. But then on places like Facebook and stuff like that, you have a lot of people who are just like um, so does Twitter and places like that. So Slasher doesn't. That's probably a big difference.
Hmm.
Um, so whenever people are, I mean, it's our rules are fundamentally respect one another. That's really what it boils down to.
Right.
Right. There's very little accountability in places like Facebook and stuff like that. Because without heated arguments and all kinds of nonsense like that, they're ad revenue withdrawal.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
So
So what would you say are some of the challenges in running Slasher? Is this something you're doing all by yourself, or do you have other people helping you?
so doing like the coding and stuff like that, that's something I don't really do. So I have people handling the real technical stuff. Aside from that, I've pretty much come up with the concepts of what we need to have functionally, how everything should work, and all that sort of thing. And then, just sort of passing that along to the developers to code it and to say, okay, let's make this work now. Um, so they do all that kind of stuff, and you know, I pretty much handle everything else, honestly.
Excellent. And you're doing a pretty good job, because I know that's got to be a lot of work to
Thank
try and manage everything.
Yeah.
Um, what we say some of the rewards so far have been since starting Slasher.
Um, I mean, just having an amazing group of people together and just treat each other like people. That's been the coolest thing is really seeing people come together in a really amazing way. I've seen people build friendships. I've seen some people, um, make movies together who never previously met. Um, I saw a couple people getting married through Slasher, so it was really cool. It's nice to see people connecting in ways that they care, and it's it's weird because I would have expected to see a lot more of that in other places, but you know, I see a lot of it on Slasher, honestly. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of it, well, and been a part of it too. I mean, I've
Mhm.
made some good friends who probably would never met people
Yeah.
nowhere near, don't live anywhere close to me. I mean, sometimes I wish we were all in one little town, or what, had our own little
Right?
Slasherville or something like that. It would be pretty
Yeah.
fun, but that might then that would miss the point of the whole app in the first place. Um, so obviously we're all horror fans, hence why we're here. So what
Yep.
brought you in? I mean, was there a what was your gateway into the horror genre? Was it a specific movie or book or anything
Yeah,
that brought you in specifically?
it was. I think I was somewhere around 9 years old and I saw Poltergeist on cable. And like I couldn't stop watching it. It was like mesmerizing to me. Um so saw it and I was scared shitless basically. But then every time it was on after that, I would watch it again. Um, and then after that, I just like looked for other cool horror movies. So, thanks to Joe Bob back in the '80s, back on the movie channel, and then Up All Night, like those two shows, I would stay up for. I'm sure very well against my parents' wishes, and I would just stay awake and just watch them as long as I could, and they were awesome. So yeah, that's what it did for me.
Yeah, I was like 5 when I got started
Mm,
on, like, I watched Dracula from
nice.
1931 was what started it all for me, and just kind of,
Mm,
and once again, it was like some local television in Indiana where I grew up, that
yeah,
every
yeah,
Friday night at 10 o'clock they're showing some old Universal monster movie, and that's where it all
nice.
started for me. So
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, Joe Bob. I remember Elvira had her, what was it? Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, I think is what it was called, and she would have her movie show as well.
Yeah, we never really had any of the horror hosts here, unfortunately.
Mhm.
That's kind of a bummer because I'm just starting to learn about a whole bunch of them besides Elvira. Like within the past, I don't know, 6 years, I learned about like Svengoolie and uh, Zachary and all these people, and I'm like, how have I missed these people? They're awesome. Um, but I just, none of the stations out here really just carried them, and it was really disappointing to know that like this awesome stuff was out there, and I just missed the boat.
So where do you so
Where do
where'd
you?
you grow up at, or where are you at now?
It's basically New York City suburbs,
Okay.
and yeah, I've always been out here, and there's plenty of cool stuff, but when it came to stuff like that, it just wasn't a thing. Like on Sundays, we'd get like Channel 9 or Channel 11 would have sometimes they'd have those old monster movies, like they would show something like Gargoyles, or they would show them, or one of those like older type movies.
Right. Oh, I gotta let
Yeah,
the dog out.
no worries.
It happens. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing about horror. There's just so much of it out there that
Yeah.
just when you think you know everything, you'll discover. I mean, just in the last month, I've been like discovering old Italian giallo horror because I had just
Mm.
wasn't a genre that I'd gotten into up until the last month or so. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like every time I think I know it all, I'm like, oh, here's a whole group of movies I still haven't seen yet. So it's like, yeah. And so what was do you have like a particular favorite horror movie or movies or a favorite franchise that you really like or gravitate to?
Um, there's usually just stuff that I like, like I would watch, like Poltergeist is a big deal to me because that was the first one I saw. But then I would always watch things like, I like the monster movie type thing, so I would watch things like Ghoulies and Critters and,
Hmm.
and then, like Nightbreed. Nightbreed is really one of the more, the ones I like a bit more. That one is just fantastic. Um,
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. The Hellraiser movies I kind of came up with. So yeah, there's a lot of awesome stuff out there. Like I liked a lot of the Full Moon stuff. That stuff was a lot of fun to me,
Hmm.
like the Puppet Master movies.
Right.
Um, so it was just fun to get into those. They were they were around, they were accessible. Um, and I would always find cool stuff like that at the video store.
Oh yeah, the old you would find all you have like some of those old like locally owned mom and pop video
Oh, yeah.
stores where you grew
Mhm.
up. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I was
And this
like,
was even before Blockbuster and Hollywood
oh
Video
yeah,
really came around.
yes, yeah. I mean, I was I would just go like literally a minute away. There was a really cool video store, and the guy would always rent me the horror movies and stuff. Um, no questions asked. I was like, I don't know, maybe 11 years old, something like that, and he would just rent me all the cool stuff. So I would go down there and as often as I could just rent something then cool. I remember seeing the Evil Dead 2 stand up in
Oh
there,
yeah.
like seeing the skull with the eyeballs and everything, just at like the top of the rack that they had. It was really cool. Um, so yeah, they had some fantastic stuff.
Excellent. So you had mentioned conventions earlier. What are some so I take it you've gone to quite a few of the horror conventions. What are
Mhm.
any special memories from attending any of those conventions or anyone, any celebrity that really stuck with you as far as making a good impression?
Um, Ian Potter is a really cool guy. Bill Moseley, he's very nice.
Yes, he is.
Um, he's really cool. I mean, I've got to meet a lot of people, fortunately, and most of them have been awesome. They're just great to talk with. Like Tobin Bell, he was super super nice guy.
Hmm.
He was just he was somebody like if I had to recommend anybody to meet, he's like the guy to meet. He was so cool, very very nice, very down to earth. Um, yeah. So him, Kane, um, I mean, just so many people.
They are. I last year I went to my very first horror con. Was kind of
Oh,
like late
nice.
to the party, but I finally went to one in
Yeah.
Denver. And you
Mhm.
mentioned Bill Moseley. Yeah, he is a super nice guy. In fact, later that evening
Yeah.
at the hotel lobby bar, I'm just sitting at the bar, just went down to have a drink or so, and I didn't before I knew it, I noticed that sitting next to me was William Forsythe, and then on his other side was Bill Moseley and Tyler Maine. So here I am
Yeah,
sitting around just talking about nonsense
yeah,
while we're drinking, watching playoff hockey on the television. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, most of them are nice. I even did a
Mhm.
shot with Danielle Harris. She had came up to the bar real quick and bought shots for everyone. So it's like, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I've met her a few times. She's really cool. She actually likes to go around and she'll check out the vendors and stuff like that. So I think that's really cool when somebody actually does support these people too. It's really nice.
Yeah, Michael Berryman's another really cool guy too.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, while at this convention, I came around middle of the day, went
Mm.
sat in the bar again, and he just happened to be sitting down next to me eating his lunch, and we started talking about boxing because apparently his dad was a physician and treated
Mm.
Muhammad Ali, which was like
Wow. That's
really,
pretty
it's
wild.
like saying
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that his dad told him if you do one more fight, it's going to mess your brain up. And sure
Mm.
enough, he did
Mm.
that last fight. And we know what, so I'm like, wow. So he had just so many different fun stories just telling me.
Yeah, I'll
So
bet.
yeah, it is
That's really cool.
and I think, would you agree to that? I think many people who've been a part of the horror genre, as far as actors, the directors, the writers,
Mm.
or obviously some of the more personable people, but that's kind of like reflects the fandom, wouldn't you say? In that the fans themselves are like one big family, and
Yeah,
we just have like this like family atmosphere.
yeah. I mean, you know, when you treat somebody like a person, act like a person, you know? Um,
Hmm.
so it does seem to work out. I've seen some people who, they kind of let their celebrity get to them a little bit, and that was
Right.
unfortunate. But I mean, for the most part, every person they just want to, be happy, do their thing, and that's it. Um, so I think as long as everybody's respectful to each other, it works. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, so what do you think? What do you think for you personally? Why do you think you yourself have been drawn to horror? What is it about horror that you love?
Hmm. I like creativity. I like the special effects. Uh, you know, there's a lot of really cool stories. There's a lot of cool characters, and there's a lot of depth to it. It's not just so one or two dimensional. There's there's a lot of characters out there that they really have put a lot of depth into. Um, even in some of the shitty movies, there's characters that have a lot of depth, and that's what makes the movies more interesting. Um, so really what does it for me is really just scope of like being moved into this alternate reality of you know something and just sort of exploring this world with these people and characters in it. I think that's really
Oh yeah, I think too with horror. I mean, a lot of people like think that we're all a bunch of psychopaths, and maybe we are. But I think one thing with horror, I think ultimately we all like watching stories of good versus evil. And I
yeah.
think horror certainly takes that to the extreme degree. And we also like
Mhm.
underdogs. It's why we like these
Mhm.
characters that end up, sometimes they don't always make it to the end, but whether it's a Laurie Strode or it's a Tommy Jarvis or whomever, we like rooting for that underdog to make it at the end. And I think horror
Yeah.
certainly, if anything, horror I think teaches us empathy more than anything else.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I mean, fans, at least the ones I've met, have been some of the nicest people, some of the most fantastic people to meet. and it's really cool. I mean, maybe there is something to it. But yeah, I mean, there's there's a lot of interesting stuff because of you know these horror movies. There's a lot of really interesting things. So yeah, it's possible that people can be more empathetic.
What's a recent horror movie that you recently watched that you really like? Wow, that was pretty good. What's a recent one that you really liked?
So it's um, old Exorcist not too long ago, and that was surprisingly good. Like I didn't know what to expect going in, but watched it and I was like, wow, that was actually pretty cool. It was a fun movie to watch. It was well done. Had some cool unexpected bits to it. Yeah, I like that one quite a bit.
Awesome, awesome. So it's good. That's the best thing, whether people like it or not. When you find that one movie, and say, "Wow, that was pretty good." That's like one of the best things when you discover something new particularly in the horror genre. Um,
Yeah.
so going forward, where do you see what kind of improvements or different things you want to see happen with slasher?
Make it even easier for people. You make things more shareable. Um, you know, make it so that it's even easier to accomplish things. If people want to post and talk about something they're doing, like their work or something like that, like maybe they're making a movie or writing a book or whatever. Um, I want to make it easier for them to get their work in front of us. Um, it's the next Stephen King um, is among us already. The next um, you know, great horror filmmaker is among us already. We just have to give them a chance to get in front of us and to refine and to hone their craft and to become great. And I think by allowing people to get in front of everyone, it creates opportunities. They'll get feedback, they'll see what people like and what they don't like, and they'll be able to just do what they do and come up with interesting characters and stories you know, and figure out how to make the things that they're looking to do. Um, so those are the kinds of things I'm excited about now. I mean, of course, there's going to be like a lot of bigger features coming out too. Like all the older features in the previous version of the app are going to come back at some point. And I've already got plans to redo groups, and all those kinds of features. Um, Podcasts are going to be completely overhauled, so we're going to have some cool stuff there. Um, so there's going to be some really wild stuff, and the groups have been totally like redesigned to be so much better than they were before. It was kind of a message board before, but now they're going to be really something else. And the way that everything is going to work together is going to be very, very cool. So it's going to be so much easier. You're going to be able to find things in ways that you might not expect. So it's going to be cool.
Awesome. So, what were some of those older? You alluded to some older apps that aren't there now that you're bringing back. What are some of those apps again that you plan on bringing back?
Well, no, it was just features that were on the old versions of the apps.
Hmm.
So like everything before version 4. So
Okay.
like we had a groups feature on there, we had a dating feature on there. All those things are coming back.
Okay.
So we're doing things in a certain order and certain timing and all that kind of stuff. So it's just being smart about how we do things. That's all. But yeah, all that stuff we're looking to redo it and then some.
Excellent. And that's a good thing because it is bringing out a good platform for a lot of content creators to get their stuff out.
Yeah.
Because, one thing I look at, um, I've just found this out in the last year how many great stories are out there that I'm like,
Mm,
aren't the studios picking these stories up and making movies out of them rather than making the
yeah,
18th different version of Halloween? And I love Halloween, but can we like come up with some more new stuff? And yeah,
yeah,
it's great to see all these authors and directors, these people making their own little films. It's terrific
mm,
because people like Toby Hooper, John Carpenter,
mm,
um,
yep,
Bob Clark, Clive Barker, they all started with an
yeah.
idea and just came down to someone giving them a chance just to get it out there.
It's true. And I mean, that's a big part of the battle right there. Is just getting your work in front of people. Um, Today it's really difficult to do. Especially on like mainstream social media. There's so much noise that you have to fight against on there, and um, and the algorithms you have to deal with and all that kind of stuff. We're we're making those barriers. We're taking them from hurdles to speed bumps. Um, so we're really doing our best to figure out like how to do things that are going to matter to people, that are going to make a difference. And it's a lot and it's challenging, but you know what? I love that kind of shit.
Oh yeah.
Um, I like to figure things out. I like to build stuff, and I really like to help people. I like to help people make connections for themselves and do the things that they want to do. I understand what we all want to accomplish. It's just coming down to, okay, how do we build this in ways that are going to work? Um, and I'm always paying attention. I'm always asking people for feedback and suggestions to make improvements all the time. Um, I love hearing what I could build upon and improve on and stuff like that. Um, some people are like, "No, I don't want to say anything bad," but you're not. Like, you're actually helping me because I'll be the first one to say I love like just tearing it apart and going, "What's wrong?" Like, because it helps me to make those improvements that much faster and make them that much better. Um, so yeah, I love that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, like I said, I haven't, I've found out about Slasher. I think I saw an ad on Instagram last summer, and I'm like,
Nice.
okay, this is just what I'm looking for. And, jumped on, and it has gotten better just in less than a year, I think. But yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
it's a terrific job. I wish I had found out about it way long a time ago, but better late
I
than
got you.
never. And I wish we
Right?
had something like this even further back too. Would have been great, but
Yeah.
it's out there. It's kicking some ass right now, and we got a great group of people there, and hopefully more people will see this video, and we'll get some more people joining up. So
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. I certainly appreciate that.
yeah, I'll try my best with my what little followers I do have, but but it's
Hopefully
going up.
we'll help
It's
you.
going up.
Hopefully we'll help you increase over time.
Oh yeah, well, it's some mutual things. So,
Mm.
well, Damon, thank you for joining us this evening, and best of luck to you. And
Thank you.
everyone else, in a few weeks, we'll have our next episode. And good night, and take care.